5 minutes.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And let me just start off right off the bat, like I did at the last hearing, saying we've lawyered up well again today. But it'd be nice to have business owners who have some issues with this before us, because usually when you bring lawyers, that means you got a problem. And it'd be nice, like we have done before, joint employer rules had some business owners. We brought an employee telling about their experiences. I just want to reiterate that point. I think it would be useful. Let's talk about what this rule really is. All right, it's doing two things. One, it's modernizing how we communicate. You know, you keep referring to cases from 1979 when we didn't have emails, when we didn't have cell phones. This is just bringing us into an era that we are at 2015. And secondly, it's kind of dealing with the bad actors. And let's face it, if you're a good actor, this rule is not going to affect you negatively. This myth of this 10 or 11-day election is much like the myth of the Loch Ness Monster or Bigfoot. Some people believe in it, but you know, most of us don't, and we have opinions on those who do. So that's the reality of where we're at. So let's just talk about the communication side of it, all right? I'm a small business owner. I've been for 28 years. I have that employee basically a third of the day when they're working for me during the working days. If you think about it, half of the day that they're actually awake, because hopefully they're getting about 8 hours of sleep. I have a lot of access points to that employee. Now, it's being said that, you know, there's all these great concerns over privacy. Let me start, Mr. King, just a quick question. Do you think it's all right to give the address of an employee to the union?
I question that. I don't believe in the Loch Ness Monster either.
No, that's all right. But if you could answer this question, because my time is really short, I appreciate it. And I'm glad to know that.
There's certain basic information both parties should have.
Right, but the address, just real specifically, yes or no? Do you think it's okay to...
I think it's questionable. I think it's a considerable invasion of privacy.
Mr. Taubman, how about the same question, but an address?
I think employees should have the opportunity to opt out if they don't want their personal...
So is that a yes or a no? Real people use yes or no. Lawyers don't. Yes or no?
So the question is, can you repeat your question then?
Do you think it's okay to give the address of an employee to the union that's trying to organize?
I think if the employee...
Boy, this is the longest yes or no, Mr. Chairman. Yes or no?
I can't answer that question yes or no, because I think if the...
Okay, so here's the bottom line. I think it's far more intrusive to have someone at your door. There's the famous line, look, I know where you live. No one says, look, I know your email. I mean, look, I know where you live is a little stronger. So the fact that now we're adding more modern ways to communicate, things like emails and phone numbers, just is a logical extension. So let me talk about a couple things that T-Mobile did recently with their employees. All right, just to give you an idea, when they're union, the communication workers. Someone wore a T-shirt to work and talked about union activities. They were fired. Now, you said very strong, there's rules about you can't fire, but we all know what that really means. And in this case, we saw exactly what they did. At the NLRB hearing in February of 24, local managers admitted they created unwritten policies which they used as excuses to fire him. No one's going to say we're firing you because you're organizing a union. They're going to come up with something else. So is getting potentially fired from your job stronger than receiving an email? Okay, I'll take silence as an answer that no. How about when you have to, from day one, attend meetings about not joining a union? Is that stronger than receiving an email? All right, I'll take your silence again.
No,
right. How about spying? Let me just, I got to go through the list. Spying on employees.
Pardon me.
Is it more intrusive to be spied on by the company than to receive an email?
I would like to answer.
You field that one? Sure,
Yeah,
Mr. Taubman, thank you.
I'll field all of these, because I'm not here to defend employers and employer conduct. I don't represent employers, and I never have. I represent employees who report to me that they feel harassed and abused by getting home visits from union organizers.
Okay, but my question was, let's go back to my question that you said you were going to answer, all right? I mean, I know you're a lawyer, okay? It's tough. You just got to kind of forget those law school years of not answering and just try to be the person you are and answer the question, all right? So go ahead, Mr.
I'll give you a direct answer.
Thank you.
You can send emails, as you know, Congressman, hundreds in the period of minutes. You can send texts, hundreds of texts.
But, you know, if they send 100 emails to me, I know exactly what's going to happen. Either it's going in my spam folder, I'm going to get pissed I got 100 emails in a row. So they're not going to do that. So again, it's back to Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot. Let me just try again. You have mandatory meetings over and over. Let's face it, the employers have plenty of access. It's a red herring to put this out there that somehow this is overly intrusive, since the employer already has all of these ways to contact someone. That's the reality. And let me just close with this, Mr. Chairman. You guys who really believe, if you really, really believe an election can happen in 10 or 11 days, and how we know it's going to be very, very rare, but how wrong that is, in the state of Wisconsin, with less than 2 weeks' notice, they announced a right-to-work law that they're voting on. If you really believe in your convictions that that is too short of a timeline, please, I will get you, if you'd like, the address of our governor and our legislative leaders. Could you tell them how terrible it is that they're forcing that in such a quick time? I would appreciate it. I yield back my time.